When using anchor points for placing casters, it's just good to understand best practice for that. So if we place a caster onto this caster board that I've already put in place, we get a total of 9 anchor points here. We have top left, bottom left, midpoints, and so on. So just like with handles and latches, it's good to choose an anchor point that is close and relative to where you're going to place the hardware, assuming that you would want that relative offset or that relative distance from the hardware to the anchor point to maintain. So in the purposes of this demonstration, I'm going to place a caster at the top left as my starting point. So I'm going to choose my top left anchor point. So I can place the caster anywhere I want on this caster board. And if I wanted to, I can actually place it directly to the case by clicking this button here, but that's for another video. So we're going to keep it connected to the caster board. So in this scenario, let's choose some presets. We'll just do 80 by 80 for now, and that is from the middle of the caster plate. So 80 millimeters, 80 millimeters. We'll apply that. So now we can mirror that caster over to the side if we want to save some time. So we're selecting, just so you can see I've selected that work plane, mirrored that caster over. And what we'll do is we'll now do the same but for the other side. This time we'll choose an unbrake caster, and I'm going to choose the top right anchor point here, and then just to keep it in the same position, I'm going to choose 80 by 80 so it's the same measurement, and then we can also mirror that caster over this work plane, and we now have symmetrically placed casters. But because I've chosen the anchor points, it will now remember this relative distance. So if we change the case size and make it quite a bit wider, maybe make it quite a bit deeper, you will see once it updates, these measurements will maintain. And there you can see the case has got bigger, but the wheel has stayed the same measurement from the anchor point. Now, when we selected the first anchor point, this was top left, and we mirrored the caster down to the bottom. In that process of doing so, the caster also knows that it needs to change its reference measurement, so that has done that automatically for you. If you wanted to add a mid set of casters, we're just going to use unbraked. Now this time I want them to stay in the middle of the case, but I wouldn't choose this middle one because it will then remember the measurement from here to here where I place the caster. So I'm going to choose, similar to the first casters, I'm going to choose top. So top center, I'm going to move that up in line, place that, and then quickly mirror that over. A little bit easier to see it at this angle with the work plane. And then we've got our green tick here to apply that. So now, one final dimension change. So we're going to make it wider, shallower, and you'll see that all of these relative measurements are going to maintain. So now that it's updated, you can see those measurements are all the same. And if I go into my edit mode just to check into the caster, so I'm going to edit the position, you'll see once we're in here, yes, we're still 80 millimeters as we set in the first place. Then we'll exit out of that.